Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Woo! How are you guys doing, Unify? You guys doing good? Yo, I'm so excited to be here, and it's so crazy because, like, dude, I was the awkward kid growing up, and now I'm on stage speaking in front of like 500 people. Like, this is crazy, you know. And honestly, this is the biggest crowd I've ever been presented in front of. So if I accidentally projectile vomit on you, I apologize. No, I'm kidding. No. So I am really excited and grateful to be here. So I know we got people from all over the world. Is there anybody that's outside of Australia here for tonight? Yeah! Woo! Is there anybody from America? Woo! Got a few of you guys, all three of you guys represent, right? Is there anyone from Japan? No one. Okay. Okay. What about Kiwis? Do we have any Kiwis in the house? Okay. I see you guys representing. All right. All right. So I have the pleasure of demonstrating you guys the difference between these waters that we're used to drinking and Kangen water. I get to do the demo for you guys. For the new people, okay, so a lot of us that are in the company have already seen this maybe multiple times, but for the newest people here, this is going to be some new information for you guys, and I'm honored to be able to be the one to share this with you guys. So is there anybody in here who is brand new to Enagic or just recently joined? Wow, a lot of you guys, wow. Well, congrats to you guys for being here. So, before I get started, as you guys can probably tell from my accent, I'm not from here, right? I'm from the States, right? But I don't know what it is, man. I think Australians love to mess with Americans. I was in an Uber yesterday, and my Uber driver was like super Australian. He was like, "Hey, how you going, man? Where you from? Whereabouts you from?" I'm like, "Oh, Dallas, Texas." He's like, "Oh, yeah, nice. Whereabouts is that?" I was like, "It's in the U.S." He's like, "Oh, nice. Yeah, whereabouts is that?" You guys ever been asked a question and you thought it was gonna be easy to answer until you started talking? You know, like, "Oh, whereabouts is that?" "Oh, it's next to that one ocean." It was the one. I was like, "Bro, what?" You know, it was just so awkward because, like, you know, I didn't know what to respond. I didn't know what the heck to say, but it was just so funny, man. I really like everyone here. It's been so nice. The Australian people have been so nice. And you know, it's just been awesome. So you know, me being here from across the world, being able to present this to you guys is mind blowing to me. You know. So before I get into that, let me just kind of tell you guys a little bit about me. Okay, my name is Shaan Parvaga. I'm 26 years old. I was born in India, but I moved to Dallas, Texas when I was 1, and I was raised just like everybody else. You know, I was taught to go to school. Sorry, my throat is a little dry. Get some water. I was taught to go to school. I was taught to, you know, get a good job and retire, right? I didn't really know what the heck I wanted to do with my life growing up. I just kind of felt like I was being forced to kind of pick and choose something. I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but, you know, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. But luckily, one day, a friend of mine introduced me to the world of network marketing and entrepreneurship, and I just kind of saw that as a way out, you know? So I've had my fair shares of ups and downs, but I've been self-employed for the last 4 or 5 years now, and it's been a good ride, you know? So like I said, I've had my fair share of ups and downs. I was introduced to Enagic about a few years ago, and you know, the only reason I'm up here and the only reason I even joined the company is because of the water itself, okay? Because I had seen it on the social media and things like that, but it took me a while to actually purchase a machine. And so the reason why I'm up here is, the only reason I'm up here is because of what the water has done for me and my family. And because of that, I made it my mission to go and spread this information to the masses, because this information is so powerful. Because if it's helped my family like that, I know it can help so many families out there as well, you know? So again, so what I'm gonna be showing you guys today is the difference between this water and all these other waters, you know? So I'm gonna be able to demonstrate this for you guys. So what I'm gonna be talking to you guys today is about health, right? And we all wanna be successful in something, right? We're all doing different things, we're on different paths, but when it comes to success, it starts with your health first. There was a billionaire, it was a story of this billionaire from Dubai, and he was mentoring somebody, and you know, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna give you $1 billion, okay?" Now, all the zeros after the 1, they're gonna represent the things that you want in your life, okay? So think about the things that you want in your life, you know, a new Lamborghini, a new car, new house, new, you know, designer clothes, all that good stuff, right? Now, the 1 in the front represents your health. If that 1 gets taken away, what are you left with? Nothing. So that's why health is so important. We all want to be successful. We think of all these monetary things that we want, but when it comes to success, without your health, none of that matters, right? So that's why this is so important, okay? So what I'm going to be talking to you guys today about health is water specifically. Okay, now, really quick, does anybody here drink water? Yeah. Everybody drinks water, right? Obviously, right? So, the reason I ask because obviously everybody drinks water and it's so relevant to all of our lives, you know? And so because of that, if you're like me, you know, whenever I was first shown this, I was like, dude, why the heck you showing me water? Like, I know what water is, you know what I mean? So I was like, dude, I know it's see-through, you drink it, like, what are you showing this to me? I thought it was all equal, right? And so it wasn't, I didn't understand until somebody had shown one of these demos to me that there's actually a huge difference, right? So I'm gonna show you guys the difference between all these. Now, before I actually do that, it's important to, before you get to the good, to at least understand the bad, okay? It's important to, you know, before you get to the solution, to understand that there is an issue, right? So when it comes to water, most people drink bottled water or tap water, okay? So as you guys can see, I have a lot of different brands up here that we are used to drinking on a day-to-day basis. And so all of them, they're actually open right now. They're brand new, okay? They were. I just opened them up just to save time. So what I'm going to do as I'm talking, I'm just going to pour a little sample in each of these. And I know this is not water, okay? And I think it's so weird that people in Australia call this lemonade, okay? I just want to say that. I think it's so weird. So anyways, okay, we call this Sprite, okay? You guys call this, I ask for lemonade every time at the restaurant. They give me Sprite. I'm like, no. Okay, so anyways, all right, so while I'm pouring this, I'm going to explain a little bit. Okay, so it's important to understand the bad, right? So when it comes to what most people drink in these days, it's either bottled water or tap water, okay? Now, talking about tap water, most of us have an idea that it's bad, and, you know, we know that it's bad. We're not really sure why, though. So the thing is, we know that there's, you know, so many things that they put into the tap water. They put, like, you know, there's like a study that showed that there's like literally about 100,000 different pharmaceuticals, and they put in the tap water supply. There's like different chemicals, and who knows what else, you know? And now, speaking of the chemicals, the two main chemicals that I want to talk about is fluoride and chlorine, okay? So let's talk about fluoride, all right? So we talk about fluoride, just to kind of give you guys how bad fluoride really is. There's a little toxicity scale, okay? Now, if you actually see how toxic fluoride really is, it's just as toxic as nuclear waste. That's how toxic it is, and that's why you see whenever people are messing with these, chemicals and they're putting in the tap water supply, they have those full suits on, you know, look like astronauts, you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's why they have that. It's so toxic that if you literally had 3 drops of fluoride ingested into your body, with just 3 drops, that's enough to kill you. And that's what they're putting into our tap water supply, you know? And so another question, you know, who here brushes their teeth? I would hope everybody raise their hand. If you didn't raise your hand, I'm asking you to leave. No, I'm just kidding. So obviously everybody brushes their teeth, right? And the thing is, most people, they use toothpaste with fluoride in it, right? And if you guys notice in the back, there's a little warning label, right? And most of us haven't ever read it. I never read it, but you know, somebody had pointed it out to me. And you know, it's pretty interesting that, you know, if you swallowed a pea size of that toothpaste, it literally says to go to the emergency room or to contact poison control. Isn't that interesting, right? So, you know, the thing is, if this is like, you know, in our water supply, shouldn't we know about it? You know, shouldn't we do something about it? And then another thing is chlorine, right? So chlorine, it says it's, you know, connected to, you know, strokes, to heart disease, to cancer, things like that. And, you know, it's interesting because whenever we think of chlorine, we think about, you know, the swimming pool. And there was some studies showing that there's actually, you know, in some places, not all places, there's actually some more chlorine in the tap water than there are in the pools, you know? So, you know, it's pretty gross to think about, but it's important to know as well, you know? So, and then we get into bottled water, right? Which is, you know, what we have up here. And, you know, when you think about bottled water, this is a billion dollar industry, okay? So all bottled water, most bottled water really is just tap water that they put into bottles and they just raise the price up, you know? And so another thing is bottles, you know, it's destroying the environment, right? So, you know, they say by 2050, there's going to be more bottles in the ocean than there are fish, you know? So in the future, you're gonna be trying to go on a fishing trip, you're gonna end up accidentally going on a recycling trip, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be like, it's getting pretty bad, you know? So that's why it's important to understand the bad before we talk about the good, okay? So again, what I'm gonna be doing for you guys today is showing you guys a demo between this versus all these. So the show, the star of the show that we're gonna be talking about today, as we all know, is Enagic, okay? So Enagic is a company that started about 45 plus years ago, okay? It was based in Japan, and if you guys know anything about Japan, you know they're number 1 or number 2 in healthcare and longevity, right? So if you wanted to learn from an A student, if you want to make an A in class, you know, you wouldn't want to copy the D student, you would want to copy the A student, right? So when it comes to, you know, the most healthiest people in the world, if they're all drinking a certain kind of water, wouldn't it be a good idea to see what that is, right? So the thing is, it's pretty cool because 1 in 5 households in Japan already owns one of these technologies in their household, and you know they're the longest living country in the world. So you guys can just kind of connect the dots there, right? So yeah, so again, since that's where it started, was in Japan, and now the guy who started this company, Mr. Oshiro, just to kind of give you guys the backstory of how he wanted to start this company. Well, there's a couple places around the world known to have like miracle water, or like, you know, a fountain of youth is what they call it. Places like Lourdes, France, Hunza, Pakistan, Tecate, Mexico, and people from all over the world who go to these places and you know, and line up in lines of hundreds just to in hopes to cure their illnesses like cancer, diabetes, AIDS, things like that, you know? And you guys heard of a guy named Magic Johnson? You guys heard of him. So he was actually known to go to these places as well, you know? So, you know, we have people like that, and it was actually working for people. That's why so many people would go to these places. But there's one place in particular called Hunza, Pakistan. And if you guys know, Hunza, Pakistan, the people of Hunza, Pakistan are known to be the longest living people in the world. They average about 125 to 150 years old. And they say a lot of that has to do with the water they're drinking. Because the Hunza River, it says, has an abundance of active hydrogen, okay? Which is really, really beneficial for the human body. And so what the CEO wanted to do was he wanted to mimic the effects that water had on the Hunza people to the masses. Because not everybody can go and travel to these places, right? So he knew that, you know, water was a huge issue in the world, so he wanted to pretty much mimic the effects that water had on most people to the masses. So what he did was, you know, after trial and error and trial and error and trial and error, one day he finally had a breakthrough and he invented the world's first water ionizer machine. Okay, I'm trying over here to point at it. Obviously, there's not a machine display. So if you guys haven't seen one, there's like, you know, there's probably some out there. Ask the person who invited to show you. I'm sure you guys have seen it. So it's the water ionizer machine. Okay, so he is the originator. He is the creator. And because of that, he holds all the patents. You know, and so since he's created it, you know, whenever he first came out with it, they only allowed it in hospitals in Japan. But the demand got so high for it that they opened it up to the public. And since then, you know, high-level people have went to go acquire it. You know, you got people like Tom Brady, who, you know, just won the Super Bowl, right? So, you know, we kind of connect the dots there, right? But no, so we got people like, you know, Bill Gates, you know, one of the richest people in the world, right? We kind of connected that. No, I'm just kidding. So obviously we got, you know, Oprah Winfrey, you got Jay-Z, Beyonce, you got celebrities like Kevin Hart, you know, you got athletes, models, you know, just Google, you know, celebrities that drink Kangen water and you'll find a huge list, okay? So if there's something that, you know, these people with all their resources are knowing about this information, you know, I think that, you know, it could be very beneficial for the average individual as well, you know? And so since then, it's been about 45 years, and since then, the company's created like hundreds of thousands of testimonials all over the world. Like some even like miracle testimonies. It's like mind-blowing. You guys see these testimonies. It's crazy what it's doing for people. You know, there's one in particular that really inspires me personally. It's a guy named Bill Powers, and you know, you guys can look up this video on YouTube. This guy named Bill Powers is a regular guy, and he's a middle-aged man who never really got sick, and he was talking about how like one day he went to the doctor because of a little lump in his throat. He went to the doctor to do a little biopsy. The doctor came back after 45 minutes. He was like, Bill, I got bad news and I got more bad news. He's like, Bill, the bad news is that you got stage 4 throat cancer, and the other bad news is you got about 3-4 months left to live, and there's nothing we can do about it, you know? So imagine receiving news like that. It's pretty crazy. It's heartbreaking. And so what they did was they put him on 5 different chemotherapies and 2 different radiations. It got to a point where it was so bad that at one point he's being fed through a feeding tube and he couldn't even eat. you know? So it was so bad, but one day a buddy of his was like, hey man, I got this water, you should try it out. And of course, Bill being in that predicament, he was like, you know what, I'll try anything, right? So he started to get the water, and he couldn't even drink the water. So whenever he first got the water, what he would do is he would gargle it, okay? So he would gargle it, and it was crazy because he said within 20 minutes, he had these blisters in his mouth, and those blisters started going away. Okay, he said within 45 minutes, his throat started opening up, and for the first time in 45 days, he was able to swallow water. The nurse at this point was freaking out, like, Bill, what the heck are you drinking there, right? So then, long story short, about 16 weeks later, you know, Bill's walking around cancer-free, okay? Now, I'm not saying that this is the cure to cancer, wink. No, I'm kidding. So, but what I am saying is that if you give your body all the right tools, that it has the power to be able to cure itself. Can we all agree? Yeah, right? Yeah. So, it's so key. And so, you know, when it comes to health, a lot of people overlook water. You know, we always talk about, you know, let's eat healthier, you know, let's eat our greens, let's, you know, eat our, you know, vegetables. And that's important, of course, but what about the water? I mean, we are like 70, 80% water, right? So wouldn't it make sense to drink the right kind, right? So what I'm going to be doing for you guys is a few different demonstrations. One of the first demonstrations I'm going to be doing for you guys is showing you guys the antioxidant level of the different waters, okay? So why is this important, okay? Well, when you think of antioxidants, we all heard this is really good for you. When you think of antioxidants, think of that as youthfulness. Think of that as, you know, being young. You know, that's the stuff that keeps your organs running nice and healthy, keeps your skin nice and smooth, all that good stuff, right? So when you think of oxidation, think of that as aging, okay? Think of that as, you know, getting older, getting sick, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to see exactly the antioxidants level of all of these waters, okay? So what I have right here is called an ORP meter, okay? So this little device right here, it shows you how much antioxidants a food or liquid is either giving to you or taking away from you. Okay, so if a positive number comes up, that means that's how it's measured in millivolts. So if a positive number comes up right here, that's how much millivolts are being taken away from you, how much life is being taken away from you. If a negative number pops up, that's how much life is being added to you, how much antioxidants is being added to you, okay, in simple forms, okay? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is turn it on. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of point of reference, okay? Now, they say green tea is really good for you, and it is, right? So, any of you guys drink green tea? Okay, great. All three of you, great. Okay, so for all three of you, okay, so it is good for you, right? And whenever you measure antioxidants of green tea, it comes out to be about -100, which is really, really good for you, right? So, you know, that's just kind of a little bit of point of reference right there. So, there's another guy named Dr. Otto Warburg, not Otto Warburg, there's a guy named Dr. Barry Aw, and he's a nutritionist for like 30 plus years. He grew up with like a bunch of sickness and stuff like that, and so he like made it his life mission to, you know, be a nutritionist and help people out with this kind of stuff. And he went and measured the strongest antioxidant out there in food form. It was a sprout, and it came out to be -200, okay? So just kind of give you an idea of how powerful that is, okay? So what I'm going to do here is just kind of put the water, put this little thing in here, and it's going to start going. So as you guys can see, it's already starting to go negative. Okay, so I can sit here for 10 minutes and it'll keep going all the way, and it keeps going, but you know, I'm obviously not going to sit here. We're not going to watch this for the next 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is pretty much keep on going. So pretty much whenever you do measure this, it usually goes out to be like a -400, -800. So just think about that. The strongest food form of antioxidants in the world comes out to be about -200, whereas average glass of Kangen water comes out to be about -400 to 800, depending on the machine you use, okay? So let's look at these brands that we're used to drinking on a day-to-day basis, okay? So a lot of these are like your, you know, your favorite brand, you know, that's, oh, I can't live without that brand, you know what I mean? So I've heard people say like, you know, things like that. Let's see how much good it's doing for you on an antioxidant level, right? So this one's already going up, okay? This is Evian, and you know, it's interesting, if you spell Evian backwards, naive, right? Pretty interesting. Can't see the number, right? Okay, everybody pull out your binoculars, right? No, kidding. So, okay, so there we go. How about like that?
That's better. Yay.
Okay. You guys see Fiji now. It's going up. Okay, we can go to the next one. Remember, as long as it's a positive number, oh dang, this one just went straight up. Mount Franklin. So a lot of these brands I'm not really familiar with because they're like Australian brands. So a lot of you guys I heard like, whoa. I'm guessing like some of you guys know this. Not that one, but some of you guys. So this is another one, I guess Mount Franklin again, okay? It's another one, okay? It's pretty bad. And then let's keep going. Which one is this? Spring water right here. Wow, okay? Positive as well. Cool Ridge. Positive as well, right? And then we got Alkaware, or something. Okay, you guys don't have to be able to read to be able to drink good water, right? So, okay, got this. We got Pump Spring Water. This is pretty famous here, I guess. I've seen it in quite a few places. Oxidizing. All right, this one also oxidizing. What is this? Voss. Wow. Voss is supposed to be good. You're lying to me, Voss. It's good. Okay, what about Gatorade? Oh wow, jump straight to 150. Okay, that's pretty bad, right? What about Sprite, or what you guys call like lemonade? 170. Wow. Okay, so as you guys can see, none of these waters are antioxidizing, right? They're all oxidizing. So whenever you guys are drinking this, just understand that, it is oxidizing the body. So just to have a better understanding of that, think of an apple. Whenever you slice it in half, what starts happening to the apple? It starts turning brown, right? It starts turning more brown than meat, right? I'm Indian, but it starts turning more brown than meat, you know what I mean? And so it's so important to understand that whenever you actually spray Kangen water on that apple, it showed that it could, it stays fresh for at least 4 hours before it starts turning brown. So that's how much antioxidants are in this. You actually can't even eat enough vegetables and fruits in a single day to be able to get the same amount of antioxidants that one glass of Kangen water can provide. That's how much antioxidants is in this, and it's so key, it's so powerful, okay? So that's just another thing. And so here's the thing. People always ask me, like, why don't they sell these in bottles? Why don't they just, if it's so good, why don't they sell these in bottles, take over the market, right? And so here's the thing, when it comes to antioxidants, there's only a certain time it could last that long. It could stay antioxidizing. So, because even if you go to these miracle waters around the world, like, Hunza, Pakistan, if you were to get a cup and actually take that water out of the Hunza River, the antioxidants level in that water, it would only last about 24 to 36 hours, okay? And so you can't sustain life like that. And so that's why this company only sells this water with the machine, And so that's when it's freshest, that's when it's most alive, because alive water versus all of these waters are dead water, And so, the antioxidants in that's why it says best to drink within 24 to 36 hours, okay? So that's why it's really, really important, because again, antioxidants, it's like, that's the stuff that keeps you young, keep you youthful, all that good stuff, okay? So the next thing I want to show you guys is the pH, okay? Now, what I'm going to be showing you guys with the pH is the pH of all these different waters, okay? Now, why is this important? Well, a long time ago, this guy named Dr. Otto Warburg, and it's a guy who studied health and longevity in human beings. And his studies were so good that it won him a Nobel Prize back in 1931. And what he found with those studies was that every single person who's had any major illness, disease, anything like that, they've had a body pH that was too acidic. And what he found was that every single person who's had that, a sickness, illness, disease, and cancer cannot survive in an alkalized environment, okay? So that's why it's so key to understand the pH level, because it plays a huge role in your health, okay? So again, what we're going to do is I have these little pH drops right here, and we're actually going to test the pH of these waters. So on a pH scale, it goes from like 1 to 14, okay? 7 is neutral, under 7 is acidic, over 7 is alkaline. Now, what it's gonna do, whenever I put these little drops in here, it's gonna turn into a certain color, okay? Now, those colors, what they mean is if it turns into a yellow color or red color, that means or orange, that's highly acidic, okay? If it's greenish, that means it's neutral. If it's blue or dark purple, then it's alkaline, okay? So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is go ahead and spray these in here. Sprite, obviously turned like straight up orange, right? You got the Gatorade, turned orange as well. You got Voss. A lot of these, I thought they were good brands growing up. Voss is supposed to be like, high quality water. You can put them in glass just to make it look nice. And, it's coming out acidic, You got Pump. You got this other one, Alka Power, whatever. Got Cool Ridge, spring water. It's coming out neutral. We got Mount Franklin, the other Mount Franklin spring, lightly sparkling. Okay, a little fancy there. We got Fiji, we got Evian, and then we got your Kangen water. Okay, so you guys can see, I don't know if you guys can see actually, but if we can point the camera at it, you guys can see like, how the color between all these different waters. So let me actually get this little metal straw I have over here. I got to pull it out earlier. Just give me a second. All right, guys, just give me a second. Why don't you guys just stare at each other for a second as I'm having the straw, right? Okay, I got it. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and mix these. Okay. You guys can see these a little bit better. Dang, it's like super orange. Okay. Yeah, you guys can see like, a lot of these bottled waters that we're used to drinking on a day-to-day basis, you thought were good. Like I thought Voss was a good brand. You guys can see it's like one of the worst ones, And so, whenever you guys are drinking, trying to eat healthy and stuff like that, not only is it oxidizing you, it's also, making you more acidic, right? And so since our body is mostly water, even if you're eating all the right foods and stuff like that, let's say you're eating a completely raw organic vegetable diet, but you're over here, consuming acidic bottled water after that, there's kind of an imbalance there, you know what I mean? Whereas the other way around, even if you're eating really, really bad, but then you're filling your body with anti-oxidizing, alkalized water, you're doing yourself a lot of good, And so you guys can see right here, I want to show you guys, even if you were just to, imagine if you were drinking this your whole life, I just want to show you guys just a little drip of this, what it can do for you guys, okay? So before I actually do that, I actually do want to point something out, okay? So I'm actually glad we have one of these brands here, like Alka Power. So there's actually bottled water brands that, they market themselves as alkaline water, right? And actually, I want you guys to understand there's actually a huge difference between alkaline bottled water versus alkalized Kangen water, okay? So there's a huge difference. And the difference is with these bottled water brands, they're chemically inducing the water to make it look alkaline versus Kangen water in the machine. There's actually these plates that shock the water and they charge the water, and they're it's called electrolysis, and so they're actually shocking the water, and it's changing the water physically to actually be alkalized itself, okay? So there's a huge difference, okay? So, and if you actually look at these bottled waters, in the back, you'll notice that, they have something called sodium bicarbonate. And if you guys know, that's just baking soda. So you can literally take toxic sewer water, throw some baking soda in there or some sodium bicarbonate in there, and it'll literally turn out alkaline, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, I have this little straw right here. I actually wanna show you guys, if you were to just blow some air in this, actually what it's gonna do is, it's gonna break down the chemicals, and it's gonna reveal its actual state, okay? So I'm gonna show you guys. Wow. Fake, right? Fake, right? It's like one of your friends that tried to be cool with you, and then it turns out they're like, not your friend. It's like this right here, right? Okay, so this is what chemically inducing does, right? It's fake, right? Versus Kangen water. It's a huge difference. Still purple, and so that's the difference. Okay, so and that's why it's important, because the only thing is, it's actually worse, in my opinion, to drink this water than these waters, because all these other bottled waters, it's this is the same thing, except they just threw extra chemicals in there. That's all it is, So again, the reason why this is so important is because sickness, illness, disease, and cancer cannot grow in an alkalized, oxygenated environment. And so, if you're drinking, acidic water, our body is mostly water, and if you're drinking that, you're just, your body's gonna be mostly acidic, so that's why it's really, really important. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna show you guys, or one of the last demos I'm gonna show you guys, is called the microcluster test. So we're gonna make green tea. Okay, so for all three of you guys that like green tea, you might like this. Okay, so what I got these right here is a little green tea bags, okay? Go ahead and put this in here. And the same thing with this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some water in here, okay? So I'm just gonna use Fiji, I guess. This is gonna represent all the bottled waters, okay? I'll even put it in there first to kind of give it a head start, okay? So something's gonna start happening whenever we do this, right? It should, right? So go ahead and put that in there. And then go ahead and put some Kangen water in here. Okay, so I'm just letting it chill for a second. So think of this as our body, okay? So the reason why this is important, okay? So this is microclustered water, okay? So there's actually a huge difference between, regular water versus microclustered water, okay? So you guys can see, one of them is changing color, the other one is kind of just chilling there, right? Just trying to hang out, right? So it's not really doing much. So that's important because, think of that as your body, okay? So there's like a quote, and it goes something like, it's not what you consume, it's what you absorb that brings you health, right? Have any of you guys ever drank a bunch of water and had that bloated feeling in your stomach? Yeah, right? I know I have before I go for a walk and it kind of makes your stomach hurt and stuff like that. And so, it's because the water molecules are so big that your body's not able to absorb that, And so, over here, the water molecules are so tiny that it's actually being able to be absorbed by your body in a super fast rate, okay? So as you guys can see right here, I just want to show you guys, there's a huge difference between this and this, And not only that, but for you guys, all three of you guys that like green tea, you can actually make more green tea with the same tea bag, okay? So I'm just gonna put this right here again. Look how yellow that turned in a second, Versus the other one, it's still chilling, it's still trying to kick, So it's a huge difference, So this is really, really key because think of this as your cells, right? So when it comes to sicknesses, diseases, and stuff like that, they start in the cell first, okay? So because these are microclustered, this is able to penetrate the cells, okay? So it's microclustered. So whenever you have these different sicknesses, illnesses, and diseases, you want to be able to fix the root cause, okay? And if the water you're drinking isn't able to penetrate the cell, right? Think of this as your cell. It's not able to penetrate the cell. It's not able to detox your body fully, right? It's still in there. Versus Kangen water, because the water molecules are so tiny, is able to penetrate the cell and detox you, energize you, and hydrate you on a cellular level, okay? So that's why that's so key right there. And so one of the other things I wanted to show you guys, other than just drinking water, okay, this machine has a bunch of different uses for it, okay? It actually has so many different uses. It's able to allow you to remove every single chemical in your house, okay? So as you guys notice right here, I have some tomatoes, okay? So when we go to the store, we buy tomatoes, right? What do we buy them for? To eat, obviously, right? So one of the first things that we do whenever we buy the tomato when we come home is what do?
Wash them.
We wash them, right? And so why do we wash them though? Is to clean off all the pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, and all that stuff, right? And so the thing is, I'm going to show you guys the difference between cleaning these fruits and vegetables with regular water versus Kangen water, okay? So right here, I'm actually going to use 11.5 pH Kangen water, okay? It's 2 points higher than the regular drinking water, which is 9.5. So it just allows you to help clean a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a head start first as well. Now put this in here. Now, the reason, why do they even put these on here, right? So if you go to one of these farms, right, the reason why they go and spray all these pesticides, herbicides, insecticides onto the produce is to make them last longer, right? They want to make more money. And the reason why you can't really clean them off with regular water is because it's oil-based, okay? So I want to show you guys what I have right here is sesame oil, okay? Sesame seed oil. So, when we're growing up, we're taught that oil and water don't mix, right? And so I want to show you guys that that's true. With regular water versus Kangen water, okay? So again, I'm just going to use any of these brands, and it's going to represent all bottled water, tap water, okay? So you guys can see goes right to the top, right? Can you guys see that? Right? Okay, cool. And then you got Kangen water. Mixed, right? It broke it down. And again, this is super key because since it's what it's doing, it's pretty much emulsifying oils. Okay, it's able to emulsify oils. Okay, so since these pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, all that are oil based, and the reason they're oil based is because on these farms, whenever it rains, these companies don't want to go and respray it. They just want to do it one time and be done with it. If they have to keep spraying it, as they're spending more money on it, right? So yeah, you guys notice that this has been just sitting in here for a little while. So I'm just going to show you guys, all the stuff that they put into your vegetables, that we're consuming on a day-to-day basis. So this is the bottled water, and tap water, right? You guys can see, pretty see-through right there, right? Versus the Kangen water. Ugh. Can somebody tell me what that is? Because that sure isn't green tea. Okay, I'll tell you that. Okay, so this is what's on your fruits and vegetables, right? So, who would drink this? If I paid you $10 to drink this, would you drink this?
No.
And it's always funny because every time I ask that, there's one person in the group yeah, I need the money, bro. So it's funny, but this is what's on your produce, and it's gross because if you wouldn't drink that, why would you go and consume this, on your fruits and vegetables every time you go and buy this stuff, when you can easily remove it with, one of these, with this water, So there's just a few different types of water. So, even looking at this on a financial perspective, okay? Because whenever I first was shown this and my friend, was telling me how much it was and stuff like that, he was telling me it's a couple thousand, and I was like, a couple thousand? I was like, yeah, okay, buddy, click, you know what I mean? So I was like, no, And so, looking at this from a financial perspective, it just makes a lot of sense as well because, they say to drink about a gallon's worth a day to be in optimal health, right? So let's just, use one of these good bottled water brands that, we're used to drinking, trying to be healthy, right? Let's just say it costs you about, about $10 a day to drink about a gallon's worth, right? If you do the math, about a year's time is about $3,600. Right? Times that by 4 or 5, you guys can see these numbers start to add up very quickly. But then some of you guys have kids, some of you guys have families. So times that by another 4 or 5. You guys can see these numbers start to add up very, very quickly. So the question is, why keep spending that money on water that's not even doing you any good? It's bad for you. It's bad for the environment when you can make a one-time investment into a condom machine that's going to last you a lifetime. So it just makes a lot of sense, okay? So the truth is, at some point, you're going to have to invest into your health. Each and every one of us is going to have to do it. Whether you want to do it now or whether we want to do it later, at some point we're going to have to, okay? But, an ounce of prevention weighs a lot more than a pound of cure. You know what I mean? And so think about it. Imagine you were a piece of paper, right? And, you're healthy, and then, imagine that, piece of paper get crumpled up. As many times as you want to go and straighten it and flatten it back out, it's never going to be like the original thing, A lot of you guys are into cars, if you guys know if you mess up the engine completely and, you go and try to, completely put it back, it's never going to run the same, And, we only have one body, so it's important to take care of it, So, that's why it just makes so much sense to get one of these for your family. And I kind of learned that the hard way. It just makes a lot of sense to get this. And me, I was hard-headed, and I'd seen this on Facebook, and had friends talk to me about it. And like I said, I was just kind of hard-headed about it. But one day, whenever I was first looking at the machine, my friend was showing me. At the time, my mom was going through something. Okay, I don't want to throw a business out there, but it was quote unquote incurable in the U.S. And she had to be on meds for the rest of her life. And me being your son, that really scared me. And I wanted to do everything I possibly could to help her out. I tried Chinese remedies. I tried natural remedies. I even went to this one doctor who was referred to me by a multi-millionaire friend of mine who had to wait 8 hours in the lobby just to talk to her for 5 minutes. I tried her protocol as well. So I tried everything under the sun to help her out, but she was still on her meds. But a friend of mine showed me about 4 testimonials of people having a much more severe case of what she had, and then being completely off their meds after drinking the water after a certain period of time. And so I was like, what, screw it, I'm gonna give it a try, right? So I decided to give it a try. I'll just let you guys know, at the time I did not have the money. But there's a certain quote, and it kind of reminds me of that situation, you know, if you don't sacrifice for the ones you love, then when the ones you love become the sacrifice. You know what I mean? And so at the time, my family's health meant more to me than any amount of money in the world. I would have went and spent $50,000 for something like this if I knew it was going to help my family. You know, I would spend $100,000. I would have figured out a way. At the time, I did not have the money. So what I did is I figured it out. I just made something happen, and I was able to get the machine. And I'm happy to stand here in front of you to say that in 2 months, my mom is completely off her meds. So again, that is more to me than any amount of money in the world, and it's just absolute priceless, you know. So whenever you guys are, you know, thinking about this, if you're like me and you're like, you know, well, you know, I'm sure it's good for me, but I don't really care. Think about your loved ones, you know. Think about your kids. Think about, you know, that one family member, you know, that you know of that's kind of going through some things. You know, think about all the people that this could really, really help. You know, so after I saw how much this was helped my family, I made it my mission to go out and help other people as well. You know, so that's pretty much it for me, guys. So, you know, you guys being here right now, just understand that, you know, everything happens for a reason. You know, I don't know what dragged you here, your friend, your mom, your uncle dragged you here, or, you know, however life brought you here today, you guys are here today. You know, so take that into consideration. Maybe this is a sign. You know, maybe you needed something like this. You know, life has a funny way of working, and this is something you might have needed, you know. So get back to the person that invited you here today. You know, ask them whatever questions you have to ask. You know, try the water out. If you guys have any questions for me, you guys can connect with me on Facebook, Shaan Parvaga, or on Instagram, Shaan Parvaga. I'd love to connect with each one of you guys. I'm looking forward to the rest of this event. So I know I've been talking for a while, but I'm done now, guys. So thank you guys so much for your time.